you ever felt like you're building your creative business or your creative vision totally alone and nobody understands you? In this video, I'm going to share a personal story with you about when I got it wrong and how I rectified that to build community. And by the end of this video, you will have a clear and actionable way to find and build your own community so that you never have to feel alone again at work, unless you want to, of course. But before we get into my story, I want to talk about how entrepreneurship in general can be extremely, extremely lonely. Gallup put out their 2024 workforce report, and it was 1 in 5 people are lonely at work. This is super concerning because for us creative entrepreneurs who experience heightened emotions as well as heightened creativity, due to the beauty of those heightened emotions, we can feel even more isolated. And so I wanted to make this video because 1, you're not alone. 2, I think it is really important to remember that we make all kinds of assumptions about other people and judgments about other people and how they've got it all figured out. It is a form of othering, right? They are different from us. They've got it all figured out. They must be making loads of money. They must have this perfect career. They must have this perfect life, right? These stories that we tell ourselves. And that just ain't true. It just ain't true. And to make those types of assumptions is isolating us from building community with others. And so it's a double-edged sword. Don't do it. Really, I urge you, take a beat, take a pause, try to suspend your judgment of others, especially when you are feeling lonely yourself, to figure out why community is so important in this now moment for you, and to invite those types of occasions, those community building occasions into your life, attract more of that into your life, and make yourself available to be part of others' communities as well. The creative entrepreneur industry, so I'm talking about people working in music, media, arts, entertainment, whether they're the artists themselves or they are working to support the artists, we're all creative workers working in the creative industry. This can be a very lonely place to work. It's highly competitive. We always have literally 1,000 people behind us in line to take our jobs. And that can isolate us and the stories that we tell ourselves even more. It prevents us from having deeper relationships with those that we work with because we might have some fear around the fact that we're competing against them for the role or the job that we want. It's incredibly detrimental to our mental health to practice this type of thinking on a regular basis, because I'm here to tell you that while there is some of that in existence, let's live in reality. It is a highly competitive industry. Most people in the creative industries are amazing, talented, passionate, lovely human beings who deeply care about the work and want more community in their lives. They want to be surrounded with other passionate, talented people in their communities. They want more of it, not less. So to assume that everybody is cutthroat and everybody is out for everybody else's jobs, that type of thinking just isolates you even more. It makes it an even lonelier place to work. And so for this video, I want to share a story about a time 9 years ago when I was in a board meeting with a chief revenue officer. And at the time, I was the head of go-to-market strategy for a music sales team. My job was to build the strategy from the ground up and implement it. We were a small team inside of a fairly good-sized company, and I pulled the chief revenue officer into a meeting. I wanted to have a face-to-face because I just didn't feel like he was seeing my vision. I just didn't feel like we were aligned. I just didn't feel like he got me. And I was starting to feel a little, like, gosh, like, what is the problem here? And so here we were sitting in this boardroom, and I am beginning to pitch my vision, right? I'm talking about the strategy. I am talking about why the strategy is important. I'm talking about all the stakeholders in the strategy and what their roles are. I'm talking about the support system and the symbiosis and how it benefits the individual team members as well as the team in its entirety, and of course the company. So I took it up all the levels, and he wasn't with me. As a matter of fact, he was getting antsier. He was starting to move his body. I was reading the room and his eyes were shifting around, and it looked like I was losing him. And in that moment, it was about 10 minutes into the meeting, I just hit pause. I took a deep breath. I used to dance, so I'm really well versed at reading body language. And I said, hey, I notice that you might not be getting the answers that you were looking for in this meeting. And I'm wondering, how can I help? And literally in 1 second after asking that question, the energy in the room totally changed. He instantly physically leaned in to my direction. He made eye contact. His body stopped fidgeting and moving around. He was completely present, and he began to tell me how I could help. The information that was coming out of his mouth was somewhat overlapping with my strategy, but for the most part, what became abundantly clear to me was Chief Revenue Officer. He is responsible for the bottom line. He is responsible for in-quarter delivery of revenue. He plays the short game. And when it comes to my strategy and the fact that I was relationship-based and playing a long game, it was abundantly clear we were on 2 separate pages. And that was what I was feeling from him. So getting him to tell me how I could help was bringing us together. This was the first step in building community. We always assume that people in senior leadership positions, chief positions, presidents, even our boss, if we're middle management, they've got it all figured out. And it's just not true. They don't have it all figured out. They don't have a perfect career, and they don't have a perfect life. And the fact that we make these assumptions is a way of othering. It actually isolates us from them. We actually are doing the opposite of building community at work. And so this question, how may I help, is the glue that brings people together, because you are now putting your own agenda on pause and you are choosing to be of service instead. You are saying to yourself and to this other person, not explicitly, but you're saying, I want to put being of service to your vision first. I realize that we're all struggling with something here, and I want to figure out how I can best support you. And in doing so, it does exactly what I want, which is it brings us together. We are now in community with one another. You probably don't think about building community that way, but most people, I think, they have to go it alone, and they have to find people who all of a sudden are completely aligned with all of their values. That rarely happens. That rarely happens. Even in the creative industries, when our passion might be in common, we have a passion for the music. We have a passion for the film. We have passion for an episodic. We have passion for dance and the arts. Our intrinsic core values, right? Why we do the thing that we do can be vastly different from one another. And so to hold out until we meet somebody that is 100% aligned with our own values, it is so rare. You're going to be waiting for a really fucking long time. So I just want to reinforce that success isn't just about what you do. It's also about who you do it with. And in a hierarchical setting, be it corporate, small business, or otherwise, If there is an organization that you're working within and you're not necessarily a solopreneur, you want to consider that regardless of title and role, it's about bringing people into your community. This makes work so much more fun because now the power that is you and your efforts gets exponentially more powerful. It gets exponentially more momentum or momentous. It gets more momentum. And you find that as you grow your community within the workplace, you just have more fun because you aren't lonely. Now, let's talk about how to attract the right people. So it is important to be vocal about your values. If you don't know what your values are, I will link to my video on how to get clear about your intrinsic core values below. It's a really important video. It changed my life. It's changed my career. It happened in such a short period of time. It's one of the main reasons that I teach this stuff. But you really want to be able to communicate to your community, the people that you are being of service to, right? What you stand for, that you have a point of view. And this starts to attract the people that care about those things to a certain degree. Again, you're going to find overlap. It probably won't be an exact match, but you will find overlap. So this is going to start to attract those people. And also, like, you don't need 1 million people to be in your community. I think to start, you can start small, just 1 or 2 people, maybe 3 or 4 people, but it's enough to even just have one person in your court that you can bounce ideas off of, that you can lean on if you are, God forbid, sick or need coverage at work, or just some moral support because of the loneliness factor. So the call to action here is to say, what kind of community are you building? And what are you looking for? And I'd love to hear from you. Drop it in the comments. Next week, I'm sharing a crazy story about emotional intelligence in the workplace, so stay tuned for that. And compassion rocks. If you love this, please like and subscribe. I appreciate it so much.